The losing skid at Virginia is finally over, and it's all thanks to a gritty performance from Carolina and Cormac Ryan going absolutely berserk.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Welcome into this live postcast edition of the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and I want to welcome you in. It's Saturday afternoon, just a little bit after Carolina has polished off Virginia 54-44. I want to thank you for joining us as we all celebrate this victory together. We will still have our regular show on Monday, but always like to get these live postcasts in when we can. For those of you that are with us all the time, you hear my voice is coming back. Let's go. That means we can get amped right here and right now. I want to thank you for tuning in with us always on Locked On Tar Heels. So 54-44, Carolina runs their record to 21-6 overall, 13-3 in ACC play. That means the very worst they can finish is 13-7, but you're looking at a 3-game homestand now, and then going to Duke to end the regular season. This is a quad one victory. It's Carolina, at least right now. Obviously, things will change with tomorrow's net refresh. But as of right now, this is Carolina's 7th quad one victory. They're 7-4 in quad one, 12-5 in quad 1 and 2 combined. Again, that'll probably change when we look at things tomorrow, but this is a massive win for the Tar Heels. As you know, Carolina ends the 8-game losing skid they had at Virginia. This is the first win since February 25th, almost 2012. So almost, what would that be? 12 years to the day as of tomorrow. And honestly, you're welcome, Carolina Nation. You know why? I'm wearing the same thing I've worn for the last 6 Saturdays in a row. You know what Carolina's record is in those Saturdays? A cool 6-0. So I think I'm going to have to be wearing this again next Saturday when NC State comes to town. Yeah, let's make it 7. At KenPom, it's already refreshed. Carolina is 9th at KenPom, and that defense, thanks to this victory, is back to 7th in KenPom defensive efficiency. That's great stuff there. And you already know what happened earlier today, but let me make sure to say it in case for some reason your head was under a rock. But if you were watching the Carolina game, you know what happened right before it. Duke goes down at Wake Forest. And so I wrote in my notes as that happened, Duke loses by 4. Carolina has to take advantage. And boy, did they. And this means that Carolina, with just 4 games to go in the regular season, is back into sole possession of first place. Critically, this also means that the Tar Heels have that tiebreaker over Virginia and a 2.5-game lead over them now. So that's big time as well. So now, if the Heels just simply take care of their own business, you're looking at your ACC regular season champions. You love to see it. All right. Here's what we do in these live postcasts. Got 4 things to talk about. We'll have an ad read. We'll do 4 more things. And then I'm going to get to your comments and questions, and we'll see what you have and answer several of those. I can see there's already a ton of comments rolling in. So welcome on in. Glad you all are here. Here's where I want to start. Winning at Virginia is so winning against Virginia ever, but particularly at John Paul Jones Arena, is so insanely hard. I don't care how bad Virginia is defensively or offensively. And hear me say, they are woefully bad offensively. This is a gritty and important win for the Tar Heels. Virginia wants to ugly it up, and ugly it up they do with that pack line defense. And here's why that's so important, because Carolina was able to do that and get a 10-point win at Virginia. It's not just like you eked it out. A 10-point win against Virginia is like a 25-point win against most teams. And so this is massive for Carolina, because it shows not only can they win going up, and like you heard Corey Alexander the whole game talking about, if you're watching the broadcast, oh man, Virginia's done such a great job holding this team that averages 80 whatever points to whatever. Okay, Corey Alexander, your Virginia is showing, because here's the truth of the matter. Carolina is able to win this way. They don't have to score 80 points to win. They can beat you at your own game. And you know why that's important? because in the NCAA tournament, you're going to have to play a lot of different styles. And if Carolina can beat you with 85 points and they can beat you with 54 points, ball game. You're done and you're over. So, Corey, I appreciate it, but no, dude, you're wrong. Keep trying. So, Carolina's defense, and we'll talk about the defense more at length on Monday's show, but held Virginia to 0.746 points per possession. I haven't actually pulled up my points per possession Excel document yet, but I'm going to imagine that is easily the lowest that Carolina has held an opponent to this season. We'll obviously look at that on Monday's show, but great stuff there. There was a stretch in the first half where Virginia went 7 minutes and 50 seconds without a point, not just a field goal. Some of that is Carolina's defense. Some of that is just their offense is so bad. Number 2, after the gritty win, Cormac Ryan. I got to take my hat off for that one. Cormac Ryan has been just moving forward and moving forward. That shot's been getting better from outside. Remember, Cormac was 10 of 21 from deep in the last 3 games coming into this one. And then my dude went off in the first half. Absolutely bonkers. 5 of 8 from 3. And even those 3 that the last one that he missed was a desperation attempt. Like I can't remember if it was near the end of the half or the shot clock was going out. But then the other 2 he missed, one of them circled the rim and popped out, and the other one was pretty close to going in. So all of them look really good. He finishes 6 of 11 from 3. That means in the last 4 games, Cormac Ryan is 16 of 32 from 3. That's exactly 50%. If he's going to keep doing this, watch out, because he did this on a day when RJ Davis wasn't doing. I mean, RJ finishes with 12 points, and his streak of making multiple 3-pointers is over, but he did make 1, so that streak carries on. He's made at least 1 3 every game this season. But how good does it feel that you can win at Virginia with RJ, the ACC Player of the Year, only scoring 12 points? Because Cormac Ryan had a game. Love it. 18 total points. And as always, Cormac does so many more things than just scoring, although that was his biggest contribution in this game. He also had a block and a rebound, was plus 10 on the game. That was tied for second on the team. And so really, really great stuff from Cormac Ryan. I mean, at halftime, it was Cormac Ryan 15, Virginia 16. I was so hopeful that we were going to get to the half and I was going to be able to tweet like Cormac Ryan 15, Virginia 10 or something like that. It didn't quite go that way, but still, it was close enough that it was able to be tweeted. So Cormac, way to go. And we'll continue to see how it goes moving forward. He will probably have games like this. He's probably going to have a couple more games where he's 1 of 6 from 3 or something like that. But where things are at now, he's going to have more of what he did on Saturday than the 1 of 7. That's great news. All right. Third thing we want to mention here as we unpack this game in the immediate aftermath: Carolina 54, Virginia 44. One of the big things we talked about, Coach Pat Kilby and I on Friday's show, was how critical Elliot Cadeau was in this game. Here's why. Everyone else on this team, save Zayden High, is a sophomore or better. Most of the contributors in this game, I mean, you go through the list. Carolina played 1, 2, the 5 starters, 6, 7, 8. Oh yeah, because Okonkwo had a couple minutes in the first half, or just 1. But of the 10 that Carolina played, Cormac Ryan has experience against Virginia from Notre Dame. Obviously, RJ, Armando, Seth, and Jay Wash all played for Carolina previously, so they've played Virginia. Jalen Withers has experience playing against Virginia because of playing at Louisville. And obviously, Harrison Ingram has experience playing against the pack line defense because he played in it at Stanford under Coach Jared Haas. And so the vast majority of the Tar Heels came into this game with lots of experience playing against this defense, but not Elliot Cadeau. And so there was a lot of, Elliot is the critical piece, because it's not just like some rando off the bench who's never played. This is your point guard, your leader, the head of the snake, the guy that's got to officiate the offense. And what does Elliot Cadeau do? Let's not even bother talking about points or anything else yet. 6 assists, one turnover for Elliot Cadeau against the Virginia defense. That might be the best thing he's done all season against the best defense he will face all season. 6 assists and 1 turnover. Coach Hubert Davis has to be so pleased with that. Now, we look at other stuff, and Elliott had 4 points, just 2 of 8 from the field. You're going to see that in the game. I mean, just about everyone, like RJ was 1 of 14 from the field in this game. So 2 of 8 we'll take, right? But Elliott, the critical thing was those kind of moments, the 6 assists and 1 turnover. And some of them were just finding why, like there was that great play call from Hubert Davis on the after timeout where RJ ran through, Cormac ran through. Virginia was so bothered with them that they failed to see Harrison Ingram just sitting there wide open under the glass. Great find from Elliott on that. So really, really good job from Mr. Cadeau in his 27 minutes. He did have those 2 first half fouls, but so did RJ. So did Armando. Again, some of these foul calls, man, that foul that RJ was whistled for, I think it was his second, where they said he brought his elbow out like an offensive. Come on, man, I can't with that. Anyway, we're talking Elliott here. Great game management from Mr. Cadeau. And if he can do that at Virginia, he can do it anywhere. All right, 4th thing before we get to our ad read. Free throws. That was another thing in our 4 corners preview. Free throws were going to be a critical role in this game for both teams. Virginia is not a good free throw shooting team. They were 1 for 11 in their game against Wake Forest last Saturday. They won that game by 2, but it should have been a lot more because they were just 1 of 11 from the free throw line. But even more critical, you know how important the free throw line is for Carolina's offense. And at halftime, Carolina had only gone to the free throw line 3 attempts, and it only made 1 of them. And so I'm thinking, man, maybe this is just one of those games you're going to have to find other ways to win. But you can't keep relying on Cormac to stay as hot from 3, you know, and he was, 1 of 3 from 3 in the second half, and in Carolina as an entity in the second half. Let me get to the second half box score. Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have the box score up. We'll do that in just a second. In the second half, Carolina was just 2 of 10 from deep, 6 of 23 from the field. But here's the key. Carolina, in the second half, where they scored a total of 28 points, got exactly 14 of those 28 points at the free throw line, where they went 14 of 16. And it started with RJ, who had been struggling to 0 points at halftime, which again, you have a 10-point halftime lead and the ACC Player of the Year has a goose egg. Got to feel good about that. But RJ started attacking more. Did you catch that? Got to the free throw line, made 4 pretty early. He finished 9 of 10 from the free throw line, right on his average. And, you know, it hit a couple down the stretch, which were key, obviously. But the free throw line played such a critical role. I loved seeing Carolina attack and get to the free throw line. Jalen Withers had 2 on that important, I guess it was an offensive rebound opportunity. And so Carolina had, 8 second chance points in total. And so the free throw line in the second half was very, very key. I was proud of the Tar Heels for not settling, for not getting to the free throw line like they did in the first half and finding a way, because it's so difficult against the pack line defense to get to the free throw line, but the Tar Heels did exactly that. All right, want to get to some other things, including talking about how important the bench was and Armando Bacot having a very quiet but very impactful game. We'll do that in just a second. But first, I need to tell you about our good friends at FanDuel. And if you haven't heard me talk about this, friends living in North Carolina, make sure you hear this right now. The wait is almost over. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Tar Heel State on March 11th. You'll finally be able to bet on all your favorite teams in all your favorite sports. With FanDuel, there's tons of ways for you to get in on the action. You can bet on everything from the money line to over-unders to which team is going to win this year's Tobacco Road Rivalry Round 2. That's 2 weeks from today. Can you believe that? All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, with live betting, you can even pick which player will put up the next bucket and the one after that. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon so you can be the first to know when FanDuel goes live in North Carolina. Again, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right, for those of you watching, I'm going to add the box score here so you can see it as I talk. Obviously, for those of you listening, I'm not going to alienate you. I'm going to explain everything to you. I just want folks to be able to see it if they are watching. Next thing I want to talk about is Armando Bacot. And Mondo, it was just, a lot of times we talk about like RJ. It's like, oh, he hadn't really done much. And then you look and he's got like 16 points. And it's like, oh, RJ's having a game. Well, Armando, first half, got in that foul trouble and was only able to play 7 minutes, had 2 points, 3 rebounds, an assist, and a block. Just one field goal attempt. He made it, but just one field goal attempt. And actually, was that the first bucket of the game for Carolina? I'm trying to remember back to that now. Let's look. First points of the game. No, it was Harrison Ingram. That's right. The assist was to Armando. That's what it was because they doubled him and he found a cutting. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Armando scored Carolina after Cormac Ryan made that 3. Armando got an offensive rebound and putback. That's what it was. That was those 2 points. Anyway, that's beside the point. Armando played those 7 first half minutes, and you're like, man, we're at halftime, and your 2 Carolina guys, Armando and RJ, the guys that are the key linchpin returners of this team, 2 points. And thankfully, you're up 10, but you're like, one, if not both of these guys, is going to have to go off in the second half. Now, RJ scored all 12 of his points in the second half, 9 of which were from the free throw line. 1 was that 3 he made. But Armando sneakily and quietly just started doing stuff. He played all 19 minutes of the second half, played 19 of 20 minutes. RJ played all 20, actually. But Armando, in the second half, 3 of 6 on field goal, so got 6 field goal attempts, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, had 10 rebounds, 4 were offensive, another assist, and another block. Did he have one in the first half? Is that what I said? Yeah, so Armando finishes with that second block. So that means that Armando very quietly, I'm going to whisper into my mic, Armando Bacot very quietly got to 10 points and 13 rebounds in this game, along with those 2 assists and 2 blocks. That means that for Armando, this is now his 6th straight double-double. Remember, that is double now his previous season-long streak where he had just had 3. And for Armando now, that means that is his 82nd in his career, meaning he's just 2 behind Ralph Sampson and now 5 behind Tim Duncan for most ever in ACC history. And great job. And Armando just had, I think, all 3 of his field goals in the second half, I believe, were dunks, if I remember correctly. And so really good stuff there. Had that critical offensive rebound off of a missed free throw. It was Harrison Ingram's missed free throw down the stretch there. And so just really good game from Armando. Did a lot of stuff, kind of, just made winning plays, but did it very quietly. And you love when your stars don't have to be absolute, ball hog kind of players. Armando was able to do it in a great way. Second thing I want to talk about on this back half here is Carolina's bench. And when I say that, what's the first thing we look at when we think bench? How many points did the bench score? Only 3 in this game. And so you're like, man, that ain't as good as I was hoping for. All right, I hear that. But look at what the bench did. Seth Trimble, 14 minutes, no points. Okay, that's fine. 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 turnovers. That the last 2 games, I believe that means he's got a combined 5 assists, 0 turnovers. Also, with Elliott and RJ on the bench with 2 fouls, it was Seth Trimble running the show, running the point guard position down the last couple minutes of the first half. To be able to have a third guy that you can rely on to do that, very important for Hubert Davis. And oh, by the way, Seth Trimble for the game was tied for second on the team in plus 10. What about the Jalen's? They both had critical games as well. You had all 3 of your key reserves, Seth and both Jalen's, with played 10 or more minutes. So that's what I want. Like, I love that. I want to see double-digit minutes played for all 3 of those guys every game of the season. Jalen Washington, let's go to him first. 12 minutes played, just 1 point. He hit a free throw, but 6 rebounds and 4 blocks from Jalen Washington. 4 blocks. Carolina had 10 blocks in this game. Woo! You'll take it. Jay Wash, way to go. He was +7 himself. What about Jay Witt, Jalen Withers? 2 points. Those 2 free throws I talked about earlier, those were critical. He had 5 rebounds himself, had a block. And how about this? Jalen Withers led the team in plus minus with +11. That's right. The team was +11 when he was on the court. Man, I am so happy for him, and I am so happy to see that. So you think about the Jalen's combined. That's one of the things I often look at. They combined for 3 points, all 3 bench points, 11 boards, 5 blocks. Yes, you will take that every single game from the Carolina bench. Way to go, Jalen's and Seth. What about assists? One of the things that's true about the pack line defense is you can't, every now and again, you can get through it. Like there was a time or two Elliott was able to slither through, or RJ kind of made his way through and put up a shot. But for the most part, it's different than playing against like the Syracuse zone or something like that. But similar to it, you have to be able to pass well and pass intentionally, not just settling for throwing it around the perimeter and waiting, like cutting, getting to where you need to go, getting to your spot, and then delivering passes. You want to hear what Carolina did in assists in this game? They had, this is wild to think about, only 16 made baskets. A lot of that is because of the job they did at the free throw line. But Carolina assisted on 11 of those 16 baskets. That's 68.8% for their assist ratio. Here's what I also love. Let's zoom out beyond this game. Carolina now has 7 straight games over 50% assist percentage. That is what I'm talking about. That ties a record in the Hubert Davis era. Down the stretch of the season where they went to the national championship, they also had a stretch of 7 straight games over 50% on assist percentage. Boy, come on with that. And as I talked about earlier, Elliott himself had 6 of those assists. Tar Heels, very well done. And then the fourth and final thing on this back half before we get to the questions and observations from you all is just what a critical role offensive rebounds played in this game. Now, it's funny, when you look at the box score, Virginia actually had more offensive rebounds than did the Tar Heels, 11-9. Carolina led the rebounding battle in total, 43-39. It was pretty close, but again, another rebounding victory for Carolina. But while Carolina only had 9 offensive rebounds to Virginia's 11, what's great is the teams were tied in second chance points, 10 each. But what did you notice about Carolina's offensive rebounds? They felt like they came at such critical moments throughout the second half. I already talked about Armando's offensive rebound off the missed free throw. There was that possession, I forget exactly what happened, where Carolina had 3 offensive rebounds like in one possession, and 2 of them set up kickouts, able to run some more clock. And it was the third one, Armando, that was when he got fouled and went to the free throw line. And so of Carolina's 9 offensive rebounds, 7 of them came in the second half. So if it felt like Carolina was doing a great job in the second half, it's because they were. They got offensive rebound after offensive rebound. Now we got to talk about, it's too many allowed to Virginia. They got 11, and there was a couple critical moments when Jordan Minor wormed his way in and was able to get an offensive rebound and put back. So Carolina still has to keep working at securing those defensive rebounds to end possessions, but thought there were so many critical offensive rebounds in the second half. Okay, we're just about to head. I'm going to start pulling up your comments. I can already see that there are an absolute ton of them. So we're going to go through, grab some. If I don't get to yours and you have a question or an observation, I'll see if we can get it worked into Monday's show or maybe another point in the week. Before I go to those, let me go ahead and give you a reminder. Carolina has that quick NCAA tournament style turnaround where they face Miami at home on Monday. Got to get back to Chapel Hill after this Virginia game. Thankfully, it's early enough in the day. You can get home for a late supper or what, they'll probably eat before they leave. I don't know what'll happen, but got to get back, get some good rest tonight and tomorrow, Sunday, and then be ready to go on Monday night. Speaking of that, of some rest, let's look at the minutes played. 27 for Elliott, 33 for Cormac, 37 RJ, 26 Armando, 33 Harrison. That's another critical reason the bench getting as many minutes as they did is so helpful. RJ played 37, but nobody else was more than 33. That's really, really big as you're on the back end of then having to play again on Monday. I can't remember if Miami's playing today or not. Let me zoom down. They played today and lost at home to Georgia Tech, 80-76. Georgia Tech, man, they're just mounting up some wins. So Miami's going to be coming off of that, coming into Monday's game off a loss. They got to travel, and that's not good. They still, this is critical for Miami. They still were without Nigel Pack in Saturday's contest. So really curious to see if he will be back for Monday. If he didn't play today, I don't know. We'll see. So just keep all that in mind. And as a reminder, if you haven't heard me say this, I will be at Monday's game. I will be in the Dean Dome Monday and would love to meet you in person. If you're going to be there, come by, say hi, take a picture, whatever it is. I'm going to be with Coach Rob. He'll be there with his Milligan team, who the JV is playing, Carolina's JV, earlier in the day. And so I'm going to be there for the JV game and then for the Carolina-Miami game as well. Seriously, would love to meet you. All right, let's see what kind of questions and observations we have. Lots of Corey Alexander kind of hate. So you'll take that. Man. We didn't talk about Carolina's turnovers. Kevin Ingram says 1, thank you, Cormac Ryan. 2, thank you, Armando Bacot. 3, UNC defense was outstanding. Yes, it sure was. We'll talk about that more on Monday's show. 4, and this is what I want to get to only have 9 turnovers at Virginia, signature game. I'm not mad at anything. I believe it was actually, I think at the end, it did get up to 10 turnovers that Carolina had. My screen's going wacky here. Yeah, Carolina did finish with 10. And I know in a lower possession game, we got to look at turnover percentage more so than total number of turnovers. But still, Carolina, again, doing a critical job holding on to the ball. It was actually RJ, interestingly enough, who had the most turnovers in this game with 3. But outside of that, Jalen Washington had 2 and nobody else had multiple turnovers. So Carolina was strong with the ball, and you'll certainly take that. So Kevin, that's a really good point. Carolina just did enough of what they needed to do to secure this thing with the ball. Lots of this kind of comment. Let's get our guy Nintendo Nerd in. He says, Cormac is back. This was the determining game for me. He's back. Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's been building, and it's safe to say. And so we'll 100% take that. And Nintendo just followed that up with one other thing that I want to point out here as well. Not one single thing won us the game. Cormac, Armando, effort, offensive rebounds, defense. They all played huge roles, big time performance, despite us not shooting well. This goes back to what I talked about earlier of being able to win in a multitude of ways, and let Nintendo Nerd kind of build on that by saying with a multitude of important factors at play, right? Carolina breaks this losing skid at Virginia, not just by like, we got hot from 3 or this happened. It was a multitude of factors that really, really critically play into it. And so it's like, I've talked about it a couple times now, but think about how hot Brady Manick got down the stretch of his season with Carolina. That's where Cormac Ryan is at right now. And so, that's so big. Emily Von Pocky asked Isaac, what is your prediction for our AP poll ranking on Monday? This is a great question from Emily. Obviously, a lot of it is going to be determined by what happens around the country on Saturday. I can tell you this, though, one team who won't be ahead of the Tar Heels, that team from Durham, North Carolina, like they were this week. I got lots of people like, Isaac, why did you rank Duke ahead of North Carolina? I didn't, but the Locked On College poll in totality was. So Carolina was 10th. They will at least jump Duke, and we'll see. Kansas is playing right now as we record, so we'll have to see. Arizona lost on Thursday night. And so I would imagine Carolina will move up at least a slot, maybe 2 or 3. So I would say 7 or 8, Emily, is going to be my thought with that. Man, lots of people saying I got to keep wearing this. Folks, it. Got this Nike black hoodie on. No free shout outs. It's Nike. My bad. I'm so sorry about that. Let me keep going through and see if we got some other questions in here from you all. Yeah, Nintendo Nerd asked this. Sorry to keep getting Nintendo Nerd a word in here, but it's a great question. What deserves more credit for you for Virginia's awful scoring? Our defense or Virginia's offense? I would say both. Nintendo Nerd says, and Nintendo Nerd, I would as well. Keep in mind, Carolina, it's their defense that had been so good in the 10-game winning streak that had really kind of started to let them down lately. But then it picked back up recently. The Virginia, both these Virginia schools now, against Virginia Tech last week, Carolina did a great, much better job defensively. And here they did it again. They were committed. They've been working on things this week. You saw it in both halves. Virginia started off the first half with Reese Beekman taking advantage of his size over RJ Davis, scoring those two early baskets. Did it again at the very beginning of the second half. He scored the first bucket. And did you see what Carolina immediately did? They switched and put Cormac Ryan on Reese Beekman. And then he wasn't doing that anymore. What did Reese Beekman finish with in the second half specifically? Home stats, second half box. Beekman. Oh, how about this? This is big time. That was Beekman's only 2 points of the second half. Great job by the Tar Heels. And so, I mean, you look at it, and the goal is to hold down Isaac McNeely and Reese Beekman, not let McNeely get unfurled from three where he just hits at a ridiculous rate. My dude was 1 of 5 from three. The three that he did hit, it was a great after timeout play from Virginia, and he got wide open in the corner and buried it. But that was his only 3 of the game. So really, really good job there. But to be fair, Virginia's offense, it really is atrociously bad. I mean, like, they were missing shots that I probably could have made, and I'm a 5'11" white dude that barely, I'm more of a Cadeau than a Davis, if you'll allow me that. So, man, that's just tough for them. But great stuff. So let's keep scrolling through here, grab another couple questions, and then we'll get on out of here. Let everyone enjoy their Saturday, go eat some supper, and those types of things. Man, oh gosh, I keep grabbing just great points by Nintendo. I didn't even look who it was. I just pull it up. It says great bench minutes. We've already talked about that, but here's why I bring this up. We don't win this game without Jay Wash's defense in the first half. I want to take us back to last year, the game at Virginia where Armando Bacot was hurt less than 2 minutes into the game. And that was just as Jay Wash was really starting to work into form. He played I think it might still be the most minutes he's ever played in the game, and did a great job. It was one of his highest scoring games of his career. And obviously that wasn't the case today. And he didn't play as many minutes. He did play 12. But when Armando went to the bench, having played just 7 minutes with 2 fouls, Jalen Washington came in for him. And it was going to be, like I put in my notes at the time, I wonder if Coach Davis needs to come back to Armando or not. And I followed that up by saying, but if Carolina is able to maintain this lead, there's no need for Armando to come back in and risk foul number 3. And that's exactly what happened. Carolina just kind of kept pushing. Virginia would cut it back a little bit, and then it was 10 points at halftime, even with Armando, RJ, and Elliott on the bench with foul trouble. And with Virginia making a little bit of a push down the stretch of the first half. And so much of that is because of Jalen Washington, who played 11 minutes in the first half, had all 4 of those blocks in the first half, all 6 of those rebounds in the first half, and was +9. So yes, Jalen Washington. We're all talking about what Cormac Ryan did in the first half. Jalen Washington's defense deserves equal amounts of praise right there. Emily says, love the new box score format, Locked On Tar Heels. Yeah, I realized I should do this, the landscape box score version instead of the portrait box score version, because it's easier to see. And so we'll keep going this now. And so we'll go with that. Tim Phillips, this is great, says, my goodness, all you need for a good sedative is to watch Virginia. And here's the deal with this. This is another where I was like, Corey Alexander, man, stop showing your Virginia. He's out here trying to defend Virginia and like, oh yeah, they love to see this, and they can get by with the defense. And I loved it because Dave O'Brien, his partner, was like, yeah, but Corey, they're 3 of 28 or whatever it was in this half. It's abysmal. And Corey just keeps trying to defend it. And it's like, bro, no, stop it. Just own that Virginia, it's miserable to have to sit and watch this. I really thought they might not get to 10 points by halftime for a while because they were stuck on 6 points with 6 minutes left in the first half. They scored 6 points in the first 14 minutes of this game. Absolutely miserable. You can't be doing that, man. Come on. Get out of here with that, Corey. But yeah, man, you're absolutely right, Tim Phillips. Sedative. It's like the golf on Sunday afternoon. You just fall asleep. So, all right, let's maybe take one more question, and then I'll just make another observation or two, and we will go. Sam Hickman says, it's 3:30 p.m. earlier this afternoon. Remember, this game tipped at 4. If I tell you that RJ would finish the game 1 of 14 from the field, Virginia wins easily if that happens, right? Not so fast. Here's what I love about this. Let's go back to the win over Duke. That was the game where teams really first started to bother RJ with some length, kind of like they did with Reese Beekman today, which was the expected assignment. He's got to shut down the ACC Player of the Year. And kudos to Reese Beekman, man. He legitimately is a great defender. But if you told me that RJ is 1 of 14 for this game, I wouldn't have said that, I would have said, hey, that's not good. But if you tell me that RJ is 1 of 14 and Carolina wins by 10, I'm laughing. Because it means that Carolina is doing all these other great things to win that we talked about earlier. Again, it's just like Duke. Carolina beats Duke and didn't need RJ to go batty to do it. Same thing is true here. Just like it's comfortable to know that you can win in a multitude of ways, it's comfortable to know that you can win with the ACC Player of the Year. And yes, he needs to win that award, being 1 of 14 from the field. And so, man, that is so big time important. All right, gang, we're going to have to get out of here. So let's be done for today. Let me remind you that we will have a show on Monday. As always, that Carolina right now is in the driver's seat for the ACC regular season championship, despite having one of the hardest ACC records and schedules, and despite Duke and Virginia both having one of the easiest ACC schedules. So here's what Carolina has the rest of the way with a 1-game lead. They host Monday night Miami. They host next Saturday NC State. They host the next Tuesday, the final Tuesday game of the season, where Carolina has a chance to maybe, hopefully, finally get a Tuesday win for the first time in forever. And then on that next Saturday is where Carolina travels to Duke. So here's what all of that will mean. If Carolina is able to win these 3 home games, that would mean they are 16-3 heading to Duke. If Duke wins out from there, then Carolina would have a 1-game lead. But if Duke wins, it would tie it up and the teams would have split the season series. And then you go to how they both did against the next team in the standings. Well, here's the great news for Carolina. They beat Virginia in the only game they played them, and they beat Wake Forest in the only game they played them. I think that Virginia and Wake in some order are going to finish 3 and 4 in the ACC standings. And what happened to Duke on Saturday? They just lost to Wake Forest, and they still have to play Virginia. So even if Carolina loses at Duke, which we hope they don't, even if they can win these 3 home games, they should win the ACC championship no matter what happens at Duke. So 1 game at a time, let's make it happen. All right, gang. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel, especially after breaking a big losing skid. You love to see it. We'll talk again on Monday. Have a great Saturday. Don't party too hard. And until Monday, when we talk again, peace.